Okay, now the second in our series on the inverted cross arm lock from the guard. We're looking at an opponent that either I get him to do this or he makes the mistake of putting his hand on the floor. And so naturally I would go for a kimura or sit up and crossover hook sweep or look for some other finish or sweep. But as I'm doing this, he counters my kimura and it leads directly into an opportunity for the inverted cross arm lock. So he's here, and let's say initially he does not put his hands on the floor. So I have to extend and away and then forward as I spread his arms. And now I grab that wrist immediately. Feet to the mat, slide my hips out, sit up reaching all the way over his shoulder around, and I grab my own wrist. Now all of this is straightforward for the kimura, but as soon as I sit back and slide my hips out, he extends his arm. Now I might be able to angle it in and get a straight arm bar there with a figure four, but if the guy's really strong, he turns it and he gets it in all the way to the point where I can't do that. So I grab the arm and I pull it across to the other side toward my right shoulder. At the same time, this knee comes through so that my foot can go on his hip. All right? And now I need, using this foot to push off, I slide my shoulder away to create room here for my other knee to come up, not just necessarily behind the shoulder for a knee elbow lock, but actually to block his head. His head is down, which means I'm not going to step around his head. I'm just going to bring my hips up behind his shoulder and then point his thumb away, and then my hip is here. It's blocking his head, my knee is. It's a little different from the one behind the shoulder here, where I can get that too. But what happens here is, I'm down and I'm getting it. Now if his head comes up, I'll wrap around his head and get it. Or if I'm too far forward like this, I'll roll to the other shoulder and then get it facing this way. But your weight is always on one shoulder. You don't want to put the weight on your head if you can help it. And then you have the room to extend your hips. So let's look at this again. Going right forward to the kimura. And as I'm sitting out for it, he extends, so I bring it across. And I claw my leg out, and I start to extend this arm. I'm hugging it here. And now, we're going to put my hand here. And then I block his head, I set my knee there, and I might get it. Right from here. But if his head comes up, I step over it and I get it. This traps him even more. Or I roll to my side on the other shoulder, and then I extend the arm. The key there is that once you get a hold of that, the kimura initially, keep control of the arm as you feed it across. And then a lot of this has to do with sliding your shoulders and turning your hips. And sliding your hips to then raise up the hips behind the shoulder and get into the position for the inverted cross arm lock. What a lot of people have a lot of trouble with is that they stay right where they are and try to do some other manipulation of the arm. You have to move your hips, slide your shoulder, reorient yourself so that you're in position for that cross arm lock.